It is the biggest debut since... I'm not really sure. We're going to ask you to help us decide a little later on in the program. Kumar Rocker's debut is behind us. Jacob deGrom's season debut is yet to come. What a great day it is on the DLLS Rangers podcast. When you think about it, that song is rocking, and there's no doubt that debut was rocking last night in Seattle. What a great day it is on the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan here with Abby Jones, Jeff Wilson joining us from Seattle. And I made a cameo, Jeff. I made a cameo on the Stars podcast. Yeah, and they were offering beer. They were offering Canadian beer. So it's going to be an even better podcast day for us. I wish I could, sort of somehow teleport one to you in Seattle. These are delicious.
Mine's water. Don't worry.
We're not too far from Canada here. Vancouver's right up the street.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I usually sample the Seattle beers. It's a pretty good beer town. But last night I was so tired and had work to do. So I just came home to the hotel and passed out. So tonight I have an early flight tomorrow morning. So I'm mulling the go to the bar until it closes, come back to the hotel, take a shower, go to the airport situation here. So we'll see what happens. Ooh. But I do need to be productive tomorrow. So I don't know if that's going to be a good one.
Going to be a good one. And shout out to Jeff Wilson,
for
such a social star yesterday. Wow. I'm so proud of you.
Just look at me. I've got social media written all over me.
You do. With a smile on his face, too.
A social media junkie.
New horizons, my brother. You're breaking new ground. And speaking of that, there is breaking news today as we hit the air, too. It just came down that Chris Young has signed an extension to remain as in fact, it's not just remain. He got promoted from vice president and general manager to president of baseball operations, a title that John Daniels held prior to, when he left the organization. So this is great news for the Rangers and great news, obviously, for Chris Young.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, he brought the Rangers their first World Series title. We've talked about how important it is for somebody in this position to have not only the business mindset, because he's an incredibly smart guy, but a baseball mindset, and he has just that with 13 years of service in Major League Baseball. So congratulations to Chris Young. I think details to come on the contract extension, but if there's anybody that I trust in that situation, I'm going to go with CY.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jeff, he is in some ways, quintessential leader of baseball operations. A Princeton guy, like the Theo Epsteins of the world. He is that brainiac, and yet he played baseball at the major league level for 13 years.
Another check.
Yeah, it makes him really unique because I think he's the only GM that has that pedigree. I know, the White Sox GM, Chris Getz, played in the major leagues, and I think there are a couple other guys who have emerged here recently as GMs that have done that, but not like Chris Young did it. I mean, he had 13 years. You have to be pretty good to hang around for 13 years. He won a World Series with the Royals. I think he really focuses on the major league club, leaves player development to some of the other guys like Ross Fenstermaker and Josh Boyd, and so it's an interesting dynamic that not a lot of teams have, but players respect him, and I think he knows how to handle players. It's not easy for somebody
no doubt about that.
Not easy to get tapped on the shoulder and get sent down, but Chris Young, it happened to him, so he's able to explain, what's going to happen and say things with conviction that these guys have to believe, and that's something that John Daniels never had, and he never played the game professionally, and the same goes for all these Ivy school guys, the Ivy League guys, these new new, and they're not new anymore. You know, the pedigree of these general managers is numbers crunchers and things like that, which you have to have still. But Chris Young seems to be doing just fine with all of it.
Yeah, he really is. And we're going to talk a lot more about Chris Young later in the program. We want you to join this conversation with us, please. Chat along with us. Tell us what you think about the Rangers making this decision and the timing of it, as Chris Young's contract was about to expire. So let us know what you think about that, what you think about what would have been the lead story if not for the Chris Young news. And that is the fact that Kumar Rocker made his major league debut last night. It was wonderful. It was big. It was one of the biggest debuts in Rangers, or certainly one of the most anticipated debuts in Rangers pitching history. And Jeff, you were there for the circus. How did it go? How was the sort of the emotion around the team leading up to this big night?
You could tell there's anticipation. I don't think it could all be for Kumar though, because Jacob deGrom is pitching tonight and Max Scherzer is pitching tomorrow. So to have those three in the clubhouse was something else, you know, and to see them and to know that they're getting ready to pitch. Kumar seemed pretty cool and calm before the game. Jacob deGrom seemed kind of nervous, a little bit different than he has been during the rehab process, and that's a good thing. He gets nervous before it starts. So anyway, as for Rocker, it was really good. You know, after 3 pitches, though, he was in trouble. And you were wondering how he was gonna respond. He responded as well as you possibly could. 2 strikeouts and a line out. So that tells you that this kid is got it between the ears. He's poised, confident. I mean, those balls that were hit for singles were not hit hard, and I think he knew that too. It's not like they were 112 miles per hour. You know, they didn't even crack 80 miles per hour. So he was making his pitches to those 2 hitters. He got ambushed on the first one. Whatever. He came back and got out of the jam with no runs. So pretty impressive there. And he admitted afterward that he had some adrenaline flowing through him more than he even thought. So to handle the moment, I think he did just fine. I mean, better
than fine.
He did really
good.
Yeah.
Better than fine. No
yeah.
doubt.
So, you know, the emotions that he was feeling were not evident. And really, even after the game, when he was asked about it, you know, he said he wasn't like remarkably, you know, and maybe debilitatingly nervous. So that's a good thing. But what I loved, we saw the picture of what he was feeling, right? And it was depicted on the glove that he wore. And it's a long time in coming for him. And really, it's always a long road to get to the major leagues. But truly, when you get there, you're living the dream.
Yeah,
you're living the
that.
dream. Look at that.
No doubt about that.
That's fantastic. Lovely.
He'll frame that in his house. I think my dad actually has a room in our house that has every glove from his career on the wall.
How many do you think? 20?
No, like 50.
50.
50.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that in his trophy case one day.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a lot of hardware to add to that, no doubt. But, you know, Jeff, you've said it, poised and confident. Those are the exact words that Bruce Bochy used to describe Kumar Rocker's debut. So let's take a listen to what the skipper had to say.
Let me just say the camera work on that was fantastic, Jeff.
Yeah. I'm going to get nominated for an award, I think. It was really good. I mean, it was tight in there because I had Leslie and Ashley over here on the right, and I had Evan, who's not very aware of the space that he takes up. So it was tight in there, and then Bruce was right there, so I had to frame the shot, you know, and
it was fantastic work.
That's great work. Tough. Hey, and we'll work on Evan's spatial awareness, right? We need to. We'll get a little coaching session going.
I'll tell you, Bruce Bochy would have loved one of those. after the game.
I promise you, he may not have had one of these, but he had something like
a,
this after. I promise you that.
He had a silver bullet at a camera view. I know that.
Oh, he did.
A Molson Coors product there. So, the silver bullet had been opened, and I don't know if it was completely gone, but
the recipe for success.
It had a couple bulls on it.
Yeah, that's one way to celebrate this unbelievable debut in many ways. And, you alluded to it, Jeff, the fact that, the first two guys got hits and Kumar Rocker works out of that. There was another inning where he had 2 walks and he worked out of that. It's those moments in some ways that more define what he did than the raw numbers. But let's look at some of those and just see exactly what Kumar did last night. You've probably seen the basic rundown, 4 innings. He had 7 strikeouts in those 4 innings of work, 3 hits allowed, the 1 earned run, and a couple of walks. Those are great. In fact, Abby looked something up here.
I was going to say it looks oddly familiar, but slightly better from a certain Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
He went 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 1 home run on 84 pitches. So, you made the comparison earlier this week in our show that even his minor league numbers were better. Of course, this is going to be over the course of a career, and you can't tell everything by one start. But, man, it feels good that he put these numbers up against somebody that is dominating the conversation of Major League Baseball at the moment.
And it's those type of guys whose performances demand that they get to the big leagues. And that's what Chris Young was saying. He was like, he basically told us that he had to be at the big league level, and now he gets this runway. Let's take a look at some of the numbers a little bit deeper, though, as we see exactly what he was doing. 74 pitches. We've talked about that. And, Bruce Bochy said afterwards they were aiming for 75. So he's right there at it, which is why he's out after 4, which was just great. He had 7 strikeouts. Those 17 swing and miss or whiffs, if you will, 13 of those were on the slider. And then, of course, he had 10 first pitch strikes. The Rangers, Mike Maddox in particular, want you to get ahead in the count, a first pitch strike to 10 of the 13 batters he faced. So, check every box when you look at those numbers.
Yeah, no doubt. And I want to point out that he's only thrown 72 pitches. That was his highest count this season. So 2 pitches more. I think a lot of people want to throw out the question, well, if he was doing so good, keep him in the game. That's not really the plan here. They were very strategic about his outing. And, just to dive a little bit further, let's talk about the usage, because his slider was going to be one that you saw a lot. 45% was from the slider. The next was the 41% usage from the fastball. The thing that really stuck out to me is the strikeouts came on that slider. 5 of them were swinging from the slider, and they did an overlay of his slider and his fastball. So incredible. The tunneling is the exact same. So he throws it out of the same arm slot, but the drop in that slider, it's literally unhittable. And if you want to see the recipe for a great slider, we're going to see one tonight in Jacob deGrom. But to see such a young talent be able to command his stuff and just deliver that kind of pitch, it was amazing. 13 misses on the slider as well. Yeah, I pulled up all the numbers. I got really nerdy about it, but I loved it.
And Jeff, what that slider did, these are major league hitters. They're veteran major league hitters that he was facing. And what that slider did is, in some cases, it made them look...
Randy Arozarena looked silly.
Right? I mean, they couldn't... There's no way they could catch up to it. They couldn't get near it.
Jorge Polanco was the one that really looked the worst. Rocker basically threw 2 identical sliders, and they were strikes for so long that all of a sudden they were gone. And Polanco's swings, it was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a bad golf practice swing. I mean, they just, he had no chance to hit the ball. And now Kumar, and he said himself afterward that hey, it was my first start. These guys haven't seen me. He needs to be better. All that stuff. I thought the second the inning with the 2 walks was probably his best test of the night. I know right off the bat what we talked about, but those balls weren't hit hard. In that 3 walk inning, he was kind of struggling with his command. which he said needs to be better of the fastball. But the slider, which I think, I was told he calls it a curveball. It just has the characteristics of a slider, but the Rangers, Ross Fenstermaker said no, he calls it a curveball. So whatever it is, it's a breaking ball, and it's really, really good. And yeah, it's a heck of a weapon for him.
Yeah, so if it was 17 whiffs, 13 on the slider, the other or 3 of the others getting it to 16 were on that fastball, which, as you mentioned,
only
Jeff,
4 well hit, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. And he wasn't completely happy with the fastball, but he was happy with his debut. We assume you were too. We're wondering. Let us know what this is the biggest debut pitching wise since what?
Fill in the blank.
Give us a little number. Give us a little love in the chat and let us know what you think about that. Biggest, even, you know what? Include position players. Biggest debut since when? We want to hear what you think about that. But first, we definitely have some things to tell you about. And Abs has something. No, I'm starting actually today with the flooring. Oh, my gosh.
I mean, we're talking about the ceiling with Kumar Rocker.
That's right.
It only makes sense to talk about the floors.
Yes, and yesterday we talked about his floor and his ceiling, and he clearly exceeded the floor, although after those first 2 singles, I was like, oh, no, but he got out of that beautifully. And yes, his floor is gone now, and he's headed for the ceiling. Our floors are beautiful because we had them installed by Empire Today. This is a brand new space that we're in. I mean, it's a really old building. It's been around since the 20s. It's the old White Swan building. And way back in the 20s, they were making and packaging coffee here. So you can imagine the floors could have been a little grungy.
Had a
Empire
stain or 2.
Today took care of all of that. Empire Today installed beautiful quality floors for this place, and it makes us proud to walk in here every day. You need to go to Empire Today if you need flooring. It's a simple choice. Go to Empire Today because they're basically the pioneers in this game. They have the best quality, they have the best prices, and they have this technology that's so cool. You take a picture of the floor the floor in the room that you want to be changed out, and take it to Empire Today, and they can show you that room with any variety of different flooring options. Really cool
Your wife
technology.
would love that.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. So you need to do what we did here, and go to Empire Today. If you do, EmpireToday.com/DLLS, you get a $350 bonus off your new floors. So fantastic product, fantastic company. They stand behind their work. We love Empire Today.
Yeah. And I have one question for you.
Okay.
Did you take a Z-Biotic before you?
Oh, no. Well, if the Stars guys are out there, I might need to cramp one.
You might, because it is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic that is a pre-alcohol supplement, if you will. It was invented by a PhD scientist to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into toxins. You're learning as you finish it.
Yeah.
Love that. But it gets converted into toxins, which is a byproduct in the gut. And this byproduct leads to dehydration. So that's kind of why you feel bad. So you don't really have to pick between a fun night or a bad morning. You can kind of have both with Z-Biotics. We have a code that you can use, and it is DLLS Rangers for 15% off on Z-Biotics. So go to zbiotics.com/DLLS Rangers. Get 15% off your first order. Pre-alcohol is backed with 100% money guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money. No questions asked. Head to zbiotics.com/DLLS Rangers. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode, and good times for John Radigan.
Yeah, and I love their one of their slogans is basically make your first drink Z-Biotics. And if you're going out to do more damage than I've done here, it's really good.
The Stars crew
advice.
might really need one.
I hope those guys had some Z-Biotics. They've been sitting out there for an hour drinking them. So we got to wrap up a little bit more on the Rocker topic here. And Abby, you saw the interview, and we all did with with Kumar's parents. And
it was precious.
it's just so awesome that the Tennessee Titans, for whom Tracy Rocker works. They flew him in. They gave him the day off from, basically getting ready for an NFL game this Sunday. Days off are few and far between for those assistant coaches. He's the defensive line coach, but they knew it was more important for him to be there to see his son make his debut than to be at practice, or whatever he misses. He actually went to practice and then flew out afterwards. So whatever he
was
missed
so
during
dialed
that
in.
time.
He and Lou were so dialed in, and it was so cute. Leslie McCaslin, the Rangers team reporter, interviewed Lou, and she said, "I knew that he was going to be a pitcher by the age of 2."
Isn't that amazing?
Like, she literally told her husband that.
Yeah.
So, I do think it is something that you notice when they're children and you see what they gravitate towards and watch on TV. So it's really cool that, that came true for him. But Kumar was asked about his slider after the game, and he said, "It's actually my favorite pitch, and I've had it for a while." He said, "I'll just keep using it until they don't want to see it anymore." I'm going to go ahead and say nobody wants to see it because
see it now.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Literally unhittable. But yeah, great stuff from Kumar.
Yeah, fantastic. Jeff, any final thoughts on Kumar? Anything that you have not gotten to lay out there for us?
Just one thing to consider. I know everybody is excited about him, and that's great. I'm excited too. He's probably going to pitch for the Rangers in 2025 a lot, but how much? This is a guy that is coming off of Tommy John surgery. I don't think he has 100 professional innings yet. So how much are the Rangers going to let Kumar Rocker pitch next year? They're going to protect him, and it's strange because you need 5 180 inning pitchers ideally if you're going to go to the World Series. I know the Rangers did it last year without any, but you need 5 guys that are going to give you some innings, and they're not sure that Kumar Rocker is going to do that. So they got to figure out how to do it, and I think that they will seriously consider utilizing a 6-man rotation for part of the season. Just a couple things you can do that get him in the major leagues, but don't wear him down and put him at further risk for injury, whether it be his elbow again or a shoulder or something else. You got to protect him. He's young and it looks like he's going to be very, very good, but you also have to look at what he's done the last couple of years, which is close to nothing, really, relative to what other pitchers have been doing. So I would tap the brakes on this guy winning the Cy Young next year. He's going to be a bit of a pitch count.
Yeah, realistic expectations.
Yeah, and we
good.
like some of the answers when we threw out the fact that you could put position players in there. Someone rightly said Langford, because again, and the reason his debut this year, which was opening day, was so exciting is because of what he did in spring training. It looked like he was just going to take the major leagues by storm. He's done a great job. He's had a great rookie year, but he realized quickly this is the major leagues.
Well, also the first rounders have put on a show in their debuts. Josh Young with the home run, Langford did as well, and then Rocker with the strikeout. But Jack Leiter also had something to say yesterday about his former Vandy teammate, and he was just saying, if you would have told us a couple months ago that we would be, at this position, I don't think either of us would believe it. So I don't know who's buying dinner or who did last night. I'm going to put that one on Leiter's tab, I think.
Yeah.
He could grab Kumar's dinner after that outing because it was special.
Yeah, it really was. Briefly, the bad news from yesterday, Jeff, was the fact that Corey Seager will miss the rest of the season tomorrow or today. I think is when he's going to have that second.
He's already in
sports,
surgery.
Yes, is he in surgery now?
His wife
had that
shared.
second sports hernia injury. It's on the other side. Chris Young was quoted saying, that's not uncommon when you've had one that you need the other. But the good news is, he'll have a great chance to be back for spring training and a great chance to have a normal or at least a more normal off season, Jeff. But you don't like to see that bad out of the lineup at any point.
No, if you're a baseball fan and you want to see the best guys on the field all the time. That's why the Mike Trout situation the last few years has been so frustrating. This isn't a fun one, but do it now, get it done. Have what he had the surgery this year,
January 30th.
He had the first one this year on January 30th. And played in a game on March 23rd. So that's 2 months, just under 2 months. So, but that was in anticipation of getting ready for the start of the season. the Rangers have a little more time. So, if he doesn't need to be back working out on November 15th, or November 12th, the 2 month timeline, he can take his time a little bit. And I think if he were to start workouts December 1st, everything would be fine. That would give him 2.5 months to get ready for the season. And then he would have all of spring training. And that's the expectation, that he'll be in surprise with, I don't know about a smile on his face, but he'll be on his feet and moving around and doing all the stuff that everybody else is doing. So, this guy, if injuries have been an issue with him throughout his career, some of them have been the freakish in nature, like a broken arm by getting hit by a pitch, something like that. But he hasn't played more than 140 games, I think, but twice. So you want to see what that looks like. I mean, last year, if he plays 140 games, he might hit 50 home runs. It's not great news, obviously, but it's good news to get it done now, as opposed to January 30th like they did this year.
Yeah. And you want to know something crazy about Corey Seager and the kind of player that he is?
Mm-hmm.
So his birthday is in April, and he was turning 30 this year. And just to show you how dialed in he is throughout the whole season, he and his wife actually decided to do a big 30th celebration in November. So this guy just completely changed the calendar, and he said,
You mean they did it last November?
Last November.
Okay.
So
they're going to do 31 this year, I reckon.
in November.
Yeah.
So this just really goes to show you, if it is baseball time, Corey Seager could literally care less, and he is going to give his all in the season. And so, this one hurts Corey the most. I mean, 2 surgeries in 1 year. His wife shared on Instagram this morning. She was just kind of sitting in the waiting room. But she said, it's not what we wanted, especially after the year that we just had. But she said, I've never once seen him complain. I've never once seen him say, why me? She said, if anything, I'm the one that's emotional about it. And he's reminding me that it's going to be okay. But yeah, just give Corey Seager his time to recover. He's going to celebrate another birthday in the off season, and he's going to get back to baseball when it's time.
He is indeed, and he's going to be great, because we expect that, because we watch him prepare, and he will prepare like nobody else in baseball, and he will be ready when it's his turn to be back out there on the field. Now, today it's Jacob deGrom's turn, that is, Jeff, and the Mariners hitters thought they saw a wicked slider last night.
Oh, they're in for a
my
treat.
goodness. Here comes part 2.
Yeah, it's, the DeGrom slider may be one of the best pitches in baseball. And, it's because it plays so well off the fastball, the tunneling and whatnot. And, he'll also throw you a changeup. So he has 3 pitches that do 3 different things, 3 different speeds. So, he's excited. He was nervous yesterday. You could tell. He says he gets nervous and doesn't sleep before any of his starts. So he might be a little groggy. I don't know, but he's got his family here. His parents are here. It's a big deal for him. It really is. And I think, for as far as 2025 is concerned, it's a bigger deal for the Rangers that Jacob deGrom is pitching than it was Kumar Rocker. Because what I just talked about, the workload. Jacob deGrom is going to give you, in theory, he could give you 150 to 180 innings, let's say, next year.
Yeah.
If Jacob deGrom is going to be more of a workhorse than Kumar Rocker. So I would think that the Rangers really are more invested in deGrom, figurative and literally. So I think that this is a bigger deal tonight. And again, I like to pour cold water on things. He's not going to throw 9 innings. He may not even throw 4. It's just he's going to go out there and get some work in and start to get the feel of what it's like to compete again. Make sure his pitches are fine, and catalog everything he does tonight, and go to work on it in a bullpen session and in the off season. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited about the prospect of seeing Jacob deGrom pitch a full season, whether it be for the Rangers or anybody. But having a firsthand seat in the press box, if you will, and being able to see it firsthand will be a lot of fun. This guy is great. There's going to be a debate about whether he's a Hall of Famer or not. Did he do it long enough? Compare him maybe to Sandy Koufax, who didn't do it very long but was great. So I'm excited about this one. I really am excited to see this one.
So Jeremy asked a good question, especially because you suggest he may not even go 4. If he's out after 3, is this a scenario where we might see Jack Leiter come in behind him, or could we see Leiter come in even later in the game, or as the game progresses, does it become less and less likely that we see Jack Leiter? Or heck, maybe Boach said yesterday, no, you're not going to see Leiter at all. Where do we stand on Leiter?
Well, I talked to Mike Maddox about that yesterday. Mike Maddox said, hey, he might pitch tonight, and he ended up not being used behind Rocker, but I think it would be a better scenario for him to come in and pitch. Let's say Rocker or deGrom does only go 3 innings. That would give Leiter at least 3 innings. You would think 4, 5, and 6 to pitch before Bruce Bochy starts considering whether he needs to use the late inning guys to win a ball game, because that is still the goal, winning games. So tonight or tomorrow, I think that Scherzer will also be on a bit of a shorter leash. So Leiter's going to pitch this weekend. It's going to be in relief. Sunday's starter on the game notes is TBA, but Bruce Bochy said they're leaning toward Andrew Keeney on that one. So if you're going to get Leiter in a game, I think it's got to be Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. And, you said that he has a hard time sleeping before a start. That's because it's been 504 days.
How about that?
Since the last time that he was on, professional. I mean, minor leagues are professional, but major league baseball field.
Yeah.
And, he's 10 years in. It's crazy that he's still like having those sleepless nights before his start. But just to, put this into perspective for Rangers fans, Jacob deGrom's going to be here until 39 years old. He's currently 36, but he's, working on his way of a 5-year contract for $185 million with the Rangers. I think the best thing to look at here is Jacob deGrom's ability to get over this mental hurdle. I was talking to my dad about it, and sometimes the mental hurdle of, hey, I can go out there and pitch and my arm is fine, is going to be the best thing. I think when you look into 2025, you're going to hope to see him go those innings, because the last time that he pitched 100+ innings in a season was 2019 with the Mets. And it's, slowly decreased since then. So injuries, of course, are going to be the biggest thing, but you hope to get the best out of Jacob deGrom and that he's over those injury hurdles and really locked in for 2025, because when he is on, and you'll see it today. Throws the fastball a lot for strikes and the sliders, but opponents are just hitting like 118 off of his fastball. That's a lefty, and it's .077 against a righty. So disgusting stuff. You saw a great slider last night. You're going to see the greatest slider tonight. So
are you telling me last night he was sleepless in Seattle? See what I did there?
There you go, Rats.
I'll have what she's having. Hey, we got a question for you. What do you think Jacob deGrom's going to do tonight? Let us know. Give us a stat line. Just give us a thought, what you think he's going to do. Let us know in the chat. In the meantime, Habs wants you to be one of us.
Become a diehard?
Yeah.
Become our best friend. Become a diehard. We are going to have exclusive content. I actually saw we have a little paywall up now. I was going to look at some stats that Bobby threw out for the Mavs that are important for the season. I'm very excited for Dallas Mavericks basketball with Luka and Kyrie and Clay.
Yeah, how about that?
That's another show.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, become a diehard. We have these events that you can actually hang out with us if you want to. I would love it. We're going to hope to get a spring training trip in. That is definitely something in the works, but you can get 20% off on events, 20% off on merchandise. We're going to hopefully go out to the ball field in 2025, watch some games together. Rads will drink a beer with you.
Yeah,
we'll eat a hot dog.
Yep.
But yeah, join us, become a diehard. You can go to ALLCITY Network. You get a free t-shirt as well. Rads is going to tell you a little bit more about that, but a free t-shirt every single year with your membership. And I love that.
Yeah, keep an eye for us on Twitter, because in addition to you being a diehard, you can also represent our network extremely well with the merchandise that we have available to you. So keep an eye on our website to see how beautiful all of it is, and go to store.allcity.com to check out our merchandise, because it is just wonderful. It's so high quality and it's so cool looking. The designs are awesome. I don't know who the artist is that has worked on all
What
these.
if I said it was me?
Is it you?
No.
I appreciate that. You're so artistic, and but I really do like the designs on all these shirts. So there's also hoodies, which we won't need today, but soon it'll feel like it did a few days ago, and you'll be a little chilly and you'll want a hoodie. There's going to be hats available, all kinds of merchandise. So make sure you go to our website and see the merchandise, and then once you do, it won't even be a question. You're just going to buy it because it's really good. It's really cool.
Well, you get one free.
And well, if
become
you're a diehard, you get one free. That's right. So it's a $35 value. Your diehard membership's $79.99. You get 35 off that. Next thing you know, you're only paying $45, 45-ish. And we realize we're having some video issues. If you're listening on the stream, that's great. You can still hear us. If you're watching on the stream, we're going to be back. You're going to see our studio again and our faces and Jeff. But for right now, you're seeing a really cool reminder of what happened last night. And that, of course, is the rockin' debut of Kumar Rocker. And so, you know, that's really something we've been talking about the whole day.
You know what always, this is like so off topic, but you know what always pops into my head when we're doing like the .com, like ALLDLLS.com. Did you ever watch the Jeff Dunham ventriloquist special?
I did, yeah.
Where he's like, .com. Do you remember that?
Like that.
Like every single time I'm like, .com.
There we are, .com. We're back. So, Jeff, we haven't talked about the rest of the game last night, which is worthy of talking about. The Rangers ended up having to come from behind. You do like to see those sort of clutch come from behind victories, and those are the kinds of things they'll need to do. We talked about, you know, basically they need to win every series from now until the end of the year in order to get to 500. All they have to do, win each series, and they would get to 81 wins.
You say that so lightly.
Yeah, I know. That's all. Well, that's the goal, though. It's always the goal to win series, right?
It's the goal.
Just achieve the goal, and you've done that. Last night was one of the gut check kind of wins you need in order to accomplish that.
Yeah, and they, you know, the Mariners, they've had 87 quality starts from their rotation this year.
Wow.
But they've lost 30 of those. That's just not something you can do. So the Rangers took advantage once they got Bryce Miller out of the game. Though Bryce Miller had started to fade a little bit, I thought. You know, Nathaniel Lowe hits the home run in the seventh. Really strong, you know, opposite field. Taking a ball in the opposite field here is pretty tough to do. And then Marcus Semien kind of started things in the eighth with that home run also. So it was a good comeback. You know, Adolis Garcia put a ball in play. You know, he didn't hit it hard, but it wasn't right at the J.P. Crawford, the shortstop, so Josh Smith could get home. Wyatt Langford had the double that really put the Rangers in position there, and it was good. It was good offense. It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't a bunch of extra base hits and home runs, but it was putting the ball in play and letting trusting that the next guy's going to do the job, and that's what the Rangers did so well last year, and haven't done as well this year. But then that changes everything, because Walter Pennington was warming up to start the top of the eighth. He was going to come in the bottom half, and then Semien hit the home run, so it's 4-3. Well, geez, maybe we should get David Robertson up, and Bruce Bochy got him up. Smith reached, Langford doubled, and next thing you know, the game's tied. Robertson's definitely coming in then, but then Nathaniel Lowe with the single off the second baseman's glove, and next up is Robertson coming in with a lead, and he nailed that down. That was a great inning. That was just he wiped those guys out, and then Kirby Yates came in. 30 saves for Kirby Yates. That's pretty darn
30.
good. Good for him. Pretty solid numbers to take into free agency if you're Kirby Yates, and David Robertson too. But there is a mutual option on the Robertson contract, but it's only for $7 million. He can probably do a little better than that. But maybe they work something out. I hope they do. I'm sure Bruce Bochy hopes they do, because the one thing the one thing the Rangers got right, if you just say, oh, the Rangers didn't have a great offseason, they got this right and this right. The one thing they absolutely got right was that they wanted to improve the back end of their bullpen.
And they did.
There's no doubting that Kirby Yates and David Robertson have solidified the 8th and 9th inning last year. It was such a problem. We all know it was until they got hot in the postseason. But to have those two guys back would really help the Rangers in their quest to return to the postseason. I think that's if Nathan Eovaldi is target number 1, then those guys are 2 and 3 or 2A and 2B.
Yeah, and you don't want that old song says, the good times last forever, the bad times fade away. And the good time, which was the conclusion to last year, lasts forever. We'll never forget it. But it almost does make us forget, Abs, how bad
the bullpen
especially the back end of that bullpen was through really the whole year, but especially August and into September.
Yeah, my sweet papa watches every single Rangers game, and he would text me and he'd be like, Andrew Chafin's going in. I don't know if I should hold my breath. I don't know if I, because hey, and I get it. My dad was a relief pitcher. His nickname was the roller coaster.
Yeah.
It is up and down sometimes. And these guys know when they're struggling, which I want to point out, Jonah Heim got a hit last night.
Yeah.
So he is not hitless in September. But yeah, these guys, you don't want your bullpen to ever be inconsistent, and the Rangers definitely were. Last year, you had those high moments and those low moments. Roller coasters are fun, but I prefer a steady ride, and that's what we're getting this season out of David and Kirby. One stat that I also want to point out is, we've talked about come from behind wins, no doubt, but also one-run games.
Yep.
The Mets are the only team in Major League Baseball that have a better record and one-run games. They're 25-15. Rangers just behind them with 24-16. So
okay, yeah, that's good.
Well,
go ahead, Jeff.
That was such a bugaboo in 2022. That helped get Chris Woodward fired. Is that the Rangers just were awful in one-run games, and so the 2016 team was great in one-run games. They didn't have a very big run differential, which is, didn't really match their win-loss total. So a lot of people thought that they would struggle in the postseason. They ended up doing that. But you got to win the close ones. If you're going to play them, you might as well win them. And it's a good thing when you have to see David Robertson and Kirby Yates night after night. It means you're probably winning games. So you want those durable back-end guys who are going to come in and pitch, because that means that you have put yourself in a position to win a ball game.
Yep, it's absolutely true, and it's amazing if you could, you can't, but if you think about the back end of this bullpen, if it were on last year's team, you figure they would have won the division. You figure they would have, continued through the summer as they started last season. It might have been a record number of victories type year for the Rangers last year, Jeff.
Yeah, it's not hyperbole to say they could have won 100 games. They blown saves these days, the stat, as opposed to maybe 10 or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you gave up a lead in the 7th inning, it was just a bad outing. But now you might get hit with a blown save. But the Rangers are doing it in the 9th. They were not. They were very generous late in games. And I really think, if they'd had a good closer, a 100-win season absolutely was feasible. They'll take what they got. In hindsight, won the World Series with only a 91 season, great. But last season it could have been so much better, at least during the regular season.
Yeah, no doubt. And it would have been, it was obviously so much fun the way it ended, but it was so fun at the beginning of the season and then so fun at the end. So, the middle, there were some moments where it could have been just a little bit more fun. We're going to talk about the Rangers' new president of baseball operations and dive deeper into Chris Young. And we want to know what you think. Is Chris Young the best general manager in the history of this franchise? Does that one result speak for itself? Let us know what you think in the chat down there. And we want you to be a part of, our conversation always. So let us know what you think about that. In the meantime, it is time, Abs, to talk about being a diehard. We did it last break time too, and we'll do it again because there is so much to being a diehard. Abs mentioned the paywall and the things that you will have access to behind the paywall. But don't forget, there's 20% off merchandise and 20% off events. And the events have not started for any of our DLLS groups yet, but they're about to.
Oh, they're coming.
We got really good news today that we are now, being sponsored. Our content is now being sponsored on YouTube. And so that means there's more money coming into DLLS. So we're very proud of that. The reason we're sponsored is because you're watching, and we appreciate that. The people watch, and then YouTube notices, and they go, wow, we're gonna validate everything that they're doing by throwing money at them. So that will help us to help you have some of these events, give us a budget for things like going to spring training. We go to spring training, you jump on a plane with us and you get 20% off whatever the fee is. You'll also have a behind the scenes look at everything happening at spring training. It'll also include, stadium takeovers. We've talked about possibly going out to Frisco and watching some of the best prospects, but what we'll do is rent the entire pool area, and all of you get to hang out there with us in the pool area and maybe a few cold ones. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, right?
Yeah.
All that will be 20%
swim?
off. And I'd swim. Yeah, okay. I'd swim. I don't want to drink too many of these before I do, but I would. And also, you get a free T-shirt. There it is. And that's not the only choice. T-shirt. Any of our T-shirts, you'll get to choose your T-shirt. Those aren't the only choices. Those are two of our favorites, no doubt. But you get a free T-shirt if you become a diehard. So do it. Join our group. Join our club. Be one of us. Become a diehard.
Join the dark side.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And also, if you missed it, Jeff Wilson did post an official article about what we will be talking about in a second with Chris Young, but we'll get to it. But that could be all exclusive content if Jeff decides to put some stuff behind the paywall. So he's got great articles like the rest of our team. Become a diehard. But also the merch.
Yeah, it's
because
so
you don't have to be a diehard, although you should, because the math,
yeah, you get a free shirt.
You get a free shirt.
Yeah.
But so we've got other locations. We're in Denver, we're in Philly, we're in Phoenix and Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I have checked out the other pages. I love their stuff. It seems like this is just, me putting some thoughts together. The more that people buy, the more they create.
It's true.
And I've seen a lot of the other pages and I'm like, I want that. So Chicago has this fun pizza deep dish.
Okay.
I'm like, we should get a barbecue shirt here. No doubt. Some good Texas stuff. What are the State Fair?
Corn dog.
Corn dog. Yeah. All the kind of shirts. So check out our merch. We post about it every single day because I'm the one posting.
Yeah.
But it's on alldlls.com.
Yeah.
And you can
.com.
And you can get a really cool shirt. And also there's gift cards. So Father's Day, it's just a random Tuesday, or DeGrom Day.
Yeah.
What a great day.
You know what? Give the gift cards away in the Halloween bags this year. Halloween's coming up. Give the kids a gift.
Yeah, they don't need cavities. They need shirts.
Yeah.
And if we see you guys with one, you'd make our day, be our best friend. I'd want a photo, all the things. So get the shirt.
Yep, do that. Get the merch. It's worth it. You'll love it. It's high quality. All right, let's talk about that. We posed the question, and it's obviously likely too early to answer this question. And I know that Jeff and I would argue, I think I think Jeff would. I know I would still argue that John Daniels will have something to say about who is the best general manager in the history of the franchise. Now, again, Chris Young was the GM that led them to the promised land, but it was with a lot of the players that John Daniels acquired. So we're wondering what you think about that. And he now is, Jeff, the president of baseball operations. Is that distinction such that, when JD was president of baseball operations, he brought in a GM named Chris Young. Does that allow for this possibility, or have you had a chance to talk to Chris about anything like that?
No, he's in town. So hopefully that's definitely a question that needs to be asked. Could somebody, Ross Fenstermaker, get promoted to general manager? I know that he's been a candidate His name's been floated around a little bit the last couple off seasons about becoming a potential general manager. I don't know if there'll be any openings this year, but if giving Ross the GM title keeps him from heading elsewhere, then you might see that. But yeah, there are opportunities. I know that Chris is Dayton Moore, who was Chris's GM as a player in Kansas City. Dayton's a guy who likely could land another job, and maybe he wants another GM job. But right now he's a free agent. I mean, he's a kind of a special assistant to the Rangers. But yeah, he could be a candidate for a post like that if that's what the Rangers wanted to do, have an official general manager. So that definitely on the table, I would think. But to your point, best GMs in franchise history, I think that a general manager's success is largely based on his farm system and his manager. And so, Tom Grief hired Bobby Valentine, produced a farm system that produced Juan Gonzalez, Ivan Rodriguez, Ruben Sierra. I'm probably leaving out a bunch of guys, but
Kenny Rogers, Kevin Brown, yeah,
a really good farm system. Bobby Witt, all right, and then Doug Melvin. He accepted, took over for Doug. Who did he hire? Johnny Oates. Johnny Oates was one of the could be the best manager in Rangers history. If you want to have a debate, he led them to the playoffs for the first 3 times in franchise history. So John Daniels, who's he hire? Ron Washington, his first managerial hire, and that worked out pretty well. The farm system, produced guys like Neftali Feliz, Derek Holland, Matt Harrison. I could keep going. Elvis Andrus, what a trade that was. I know all GMs have bad trades. So don't hold the Adrian Gonzalez trade over John Daniels. John Daniels acquired Nelson Cruz. So there are ways you can do it. And you're right. And Chris Young has acknowledged that the 2023 Rangers, John Daniels had a huge hand in them. Look, Josh Young was a part of the 2019 draft choice. Chris Young was working for MLB at the time. The Simeon and Seager signings. Yes, Chris Young was there and partook in those, but John Daniels was the general manager. The trade that Nathaniel Lowe, who was a huge part last year, Jonah Heim, huge part last year. Those are John Daniels trades. Dolis Garcia, that was a John Daniels thing. So John Daniels' fingerprints are on last year's team. Chris Young got him over the finish line, but now I think it's kind of like a football coach, or you take over a team. Let's say Sonny Dykes at TCU, and he had Gary Patterson's players and had a great season.
Yep.
He brought in his own guys, sure, but a lot of those guys that went to the NFL were Gary Patterson players. And then last year, not so good. This year, they're good, and I think Sonny Dykes is starting to see the fruits of his recruiting the past couple of years. So, is Chris Young? Are the Rangers going to see the fruits of his free agency signings this offseason? It's kind of like that. It's eventually going to be his team, and so I just think that's ahead. So I think it's too early to answer the question. Is he the best GM?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I want your thoughts on this. And I knew you were a big Dave Dombrowski fan, and I don't blame you. But I am really glad you brought up Tom Grieve, because I'm not going to argue that he was the best in franchise history, but he's my favorite. Tom Grieve, such a great guy. I'll never
He's
forget.
your goat?
Oh, he's my guy. I never forget. Even when Tom was GM, I was a new reporter at Channel 5, young reporter, and I heard from somebody, and then went and did a story. Tom Grieve was coaching Ben Grieve, his then 12-year-old son, in Little League on some random field in central Arlington, and we went and did a story on it. He was the head coach of Ben's team as the general manager of the Texas Rangers, and that is how down to earth Tom Grieve is, and he's my favorite GM in the history of the Rangers. But there's been some great ones. Dennis Loki weighed in with Doug Melvin. You mentioned him too, Jeff. He's a great one. There have been plenty. They've had some really good GMs.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry about the distraction, but go.
You're passionate.
I
love it.
I love Tom.
Well, I'm passionate about Chris Young's character that I want to talk about first, because we did mention, how he thought of a very unique process with the World Series ring to allow players to have that ceremony, because he was pitching the day that he won, couldn't be a part of the ring ceremony, but also, what you were saying about JD, didn't he let him ride in the float for the World Series?
His kids.
His kids, yeah. So
CY brought his kids.
So he's that guy. Like, he's not going to, take all the credit. He's going to give flowers where they're deserved, and you appreciate that about Chris Young, because in this day and age, that is always left off the table, but never with Chris Young. Second point is his last game was June 17th, 2017. That's not that long ago. My dad just talks all the time about how important it is. The further that you get removed away from the game, the less you know, the less you're up to date with things. So, it's not like he's coming in 30 years later and, let me tell you about what I did back in my day. He's very, aware of the way that things work. And so that's important too. But Dave Dombrowski, I just have my own personal experience with Dombrowski. I think he's one of the best ever. And I've actually talked to CY about, just Dave Dombrowski. And, I compared him to Dave, and he was honored with that. But I'm like, I genuinely think that you're the best at kind of creating the perfect storm and getting the best out of your players, because they respect you, because you were a teammate, things like that nature. So, Chris Young deserves it. No doubt about that. And happy to see the Rangers take care of him. Yeah,
and you mentioned, Jeff, that he's there in Seattle. You'll probably have another chance to talk to him. But word is out on the street, he's headed to Japan, perhaps as soon as this weekend, to go do a little scouting now and recruiting of one Roki Sasaki, which, of course, we've talked about already. But that would, we'd love it if he was the Rangers' biggest target of this offseason.
Yeah, it's I don't know how that would take place. I understand how Chris going, and the Rangers could be a contender. All 30 teams could be a contender for him theoretically, because he's still young enough that he would come from the international budget and the international bonus pool, and so a team could commit their entire bonus pool to one player. It's however you want to spend it. It screws over a lot of kids in the Dominican and Latin America from getting an opportunity, but theoretically you can. And the Rangers, when they pursued Shohei Ohtani and thought they were going to get him, they had the most money available of any of the, I can't remember if it was 6 or 8 finalists. The Rangers had the most money, but Ohtani didn't want the most money, the biggest bonus, as it turns out. I guess he wanted to be in LA, and it's kind of worked out for him with the marketing opportunities and everything. The Rangers are aware of the possibility that Sasaki gets posted. They would have no problem ponying up the posting fee. They want a spot at the table, and I think that would be an advantage with Chris Young there. Chris Young, who would be able to say, "I've been a major league player. I understand it. I know what you're going to go through. Come with us. We'll take care of you. We've got Jacob deGrom. You have the opportunity to maybe pitch with Kumar Rocker and form the best rotation in baseball. I mean, you could sell him on that, but again, it's no longer you just win the bidding process. You like the Rangers blew everybody out on not Ohtani, on Darvish.
Yeah,
made a huge posting, 52.12 million or something like that, to get the opportunity to negotiate with Darvish. So when they negotiated the deal, they had to tack on $52 million. So it was a 6-year, $60 million deal, but it ended up being like $112 million total outlay. It's nothing near that now. Any team that's willing to put up $20,000 can negotiate with the guy if he chooses to negotiate with you. So, it's exciting. I think that the Rangers have beefed up their presence. Josh Boyd's been over a couple times. Chris Young going over is a big deal. Hard to miss Chris Young, especially in Japan. He's going to be really tall in Japan.
Yeah,
and so, Sasaki will see him and will recognize that the guy who is in charge of the reigning world champions is here to watch him pitch. And, the network the Rangers have there with Joe Furukawa. You might remember Joe. He was Darvish's first interpreter.
Yeah.
He's plugged in over there. He's seen Sasaki a lot, and he talked to Joe about Sasaki in spring training, and he said that when Sasaki is on, it's deGrom and Sasaki 1 and 1A. That's how good Joe thinks Sasaki is. So, franchise-changing player, you get him at a fraction of the price you normally would. He goes into the arbitration system, so you could pay him the league minimum, really. I think that eventually, there's a backdoor agreement, under the table agreement that, we're going to extend him here in 2 years and give him a pile of money. But the opportunity is, you can salivate over it. All 30 GMs would salivate over it. But if Chris Young's going to go, then I think that indicates to you the Rangers' intentions that if Sasaki's posted, they want to be in on him.
Yeah, well, we want them to be in the hunt. There's no doubt about that. And it would be just awesome and we know this. Chris Young is all about pitching, right? So if he's going to put an emphasis on anything, it will be on the pitching. So Jeff, be good again on that social media thing. Abs, you got any more tips or pointers for him?
No, it was fantastic.
It was so good last night. So deliver again.
We got a deGrom piece coming.
Yeah, I can text it to you right now if you want.
That'd be perfect, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, let's take a look at our show slate for the weekend. We are going to continue to work.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we are.
We're just like Chris Young. We just keep going. Just kidding. But this is our weekend slate. We're going to have a pre and post game Sunday. And then we're going to be with you live next week, 1 p.m. every single day. Put it on your calendar. Spend your work day with us. Yeah, we would love you to do that. And we will be here on Thursday twice, Sunday and Thursday. There you see it. Pre and post on the getaway days. So we'll have a pregame show 2:30 Sunday. That'll be the next time you see us, except you'll see Jeff between now and then because he's going to be all over social media and he's going to be telling us about that DeGrom season. Are you going to be able to make it? It's a 9:10 start. Oh, yeah, I'll nap. Don't have any more of those. I'm going to go see if the Stars guys are still here. Okay. It'll be great. Fantastic. DeGrom Day. Yeah, we're Play excited. Hard. Have fun. Have fun. We'll see you next time. We all silly like the mayor.